For Malawi, what I would like to do is to look at what are we doing domestic financing-wise in order to address the challenges that are in front of us, which is like COVID, and it's also climate change crisis. Only this year we've had 2 cyclones in quick succession. So first of all, I want to say that Malawi achieves and exceeds the 20% domestic financing to education. But when you're talking of 20% of a small or moderate national budget, it is a small amount of money compared to the need. And the need for us in Malawi has to be looked at in relation to, for example, secondary education. At the moment, we only have 15% of our young people that ought to be in secondary school are in secondary school, which means we need resources to educate 85%, and the resources we don't have. Then I also want to say that domestically, we're also pushing to involve private sector. So we have a very robust legal framework to enable private sector to take part in financing various social services, including education. But I want to say that there's also tax measures to improve domestic resources. But when education is supposed to produce human capital that should help private sector expand, and when our private sector is very much in nascent stages, taxing can only go so far to bring in resources. And so we are also in Malawi considering looking at the out-of-pocket expenditure, which is expenditure by parents, guardians, the learners themselves, and anybody else who puts out money for education, because we would like to map these resources, because it is my suspicion, based on what we see, that this may perhaps be the biggest financiers component of education. It may even dwarf.
Et ça pourrait même finalement rendre relativement minime ce que peut consacrer le gouvernement et ce que consacrent nos partenaires en développement. Alors pourquoi est-ce qu'on veut se pencher sur ce problème? C'est parce qu'à l'heure actuelle, ils ne sont pas partie prenante aux politiques. Et si on mettait sur pied ce genre de choses, peut-être qu'on pourrait mettre sur pied des politiques qui conviennent mieux aux financiers. Je sais que mon temps est bientôt écoulé, mais je crois qu'il y a bien sûr des conditions qui sont assorties de ces finances, qui sont assorties à ces financements, mais on veut revoir, échelonner les dettes et voir ce qui fait que les pays soient si lourdement endettés. Par exemple, les politiques d'échanges commerciaux internationaux. Nous voulons que les principes de l'accord de Paris puissent être suivis par nos partenaires.
To meet the demand, and we would also want that external financing should match with our national priorities. There, then we'll be able to have financing that is meeting our need as young populations in Africa and in Malawi. Even low-income countries are at very different stages of development. So for countries such as mine and others, where we have been talking about transforming education here, but the assumption is there's a school, we say bring the girls to school, keep the girls in school. In my country, the issue is for 85% of the youth, there is no secondary school. So for countries such as that, we are instituting a number of reforms to improve efficiencies, to fight corruption. But even if we were to do all that, it would still not be enough money. So we are appealing to the international community to lend us a hand and look at large-scale, innovating and predictable financing that has a sense of urgency to meet the large-scale demand. And I think that's what I want the audience to take away, that we cannot talk about a school when most of us do not even have schools. We need to start there.